Watch this.
Wake up to reality.
All right, folks, welcome to Reality Tonic. This is the, Rob, fourth episode?
Fourth episode, yeah.
Yes, the fourth episode, and we're known to have guests on, and they just seem to get better and better. And I do think we have our best guest so far, and we haven't even started the interview yet, but I'm so excited, folks, to please welcome the number one in Philadelphia, ranked top 20 worldwide, a Las Vegas performer, folks. In 2007, this was the only Elvis tribute artist to sign a record deal for having the closest vocals to Elvis. Please give a warm welcome for Elvis tribute artist Michael O'Connor. Michael, welcome.
Welcome, Michael. Is he frozen?
Michael,
I'm just messing with you.
Oh my goodness,
wow.
he scared me. Wow.
That was good.
Michael.
Look, Elvis had a serious fun. Elvis was a big kid, so I just like that fun.
Yeah, no, I love that. What are you drinking?
Iced tea.
Iced tea. Ready to rock and roll. So tell us, I mean, I know I just hit a little bit on there. Tell us a little bit more. I mean, how did you get into this? What happened?
When I was a kid, I got picked on by a lot of people, and growing up, and a lot of kids were into like AC/DC, Pink Floyd, all that stuff. And when my grandmother got me into it, because she was into like Tom Jones, Dean Martin, Frank Sinatra. I watched Lawrence Welk when I was a kid. My grandfather was watching the pageants and stuff. And one night, when I was about 6 years old, I was 6 years old. And the funny thing is, literally, it was January 14th, 1973. So we're talking, God, I'm ancient. No, seriously, it's what is that? I've been doing this 40 or 45 years in June. But I'll be a senior citizen in 5 months. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, I don't act my age. I don't look my age, hopefully.
Bless my soul, what's wrong with me? I'm itching like a blackhead on a fuzzy tree. My friends say you're acting wild as a bug. I'm all shook up.
No, when I was 6 years old, I came downstairs one night. I couldn't sleep, and I saw these lights going on the screen, and my grandmother said, when this is over, I'll wake you up and go to sleep. And I'm like, okay, fine. And then all of a sudden, I saw Elvis go off this helicopter, and then everything, just happened. And I was watching the Live Aloha concert in 1973. And I just really enjoyed what he was doing, but not just on stage and how he was performing, but how he impacted everybody that was watching it. And, making everybody smile and happy. And even at the end, I don't know how familiar you are with the concert, but at the end, Elvis threw his cape, which was probably about 25 pounds maybe, into the audience. At the end, that thing weighed a ton, but it also was, it's priceless. And the person who actually got it, did you ever watch the original Hawaii Five-0?
I've seen clips and snippets, but definitely haven't.
Okay, well, the guy who played McGarrett.
Yes.
Okay, was the one who actually in Hawaii was a huge Elvis fan. He's the one who caught it.
Wow.
So it was pretty cool. And I don't know. I became friends with a lot of people that knew him over the years, and became friends with a lot of people that were close to him, and I still am. I mean, the only person really alive anymore that was close to him is Ray Walker is one of them. I've known Ray for like 25 years. And it's been a very interesting ride, put it that way. I've done a lot.
So you're watching him on TV. Mm-hmm. You're like, wow, I've never seen anything like this before, probably because he was the biggest thing in the world at the time, right? Still is, but at that time, I don't think there was anybody that famous, right? So you're watching this, and then did you decide to start, once you kind of, you found your passion, you love Elvis and stuff, did you start to mimic the look a little bit back then, or was it till later?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I don't know what you know about that particular video. If you look at the history, that was the very first concert to ever be beamed satellite around the world to 40 different countries to, I think it was about, I could be misquoting myself, about 3 to 5 billion people around the world that watched that concert. And it just, even today when I watch the recordings of it again, it doesn't capture what I remember as a child, which is crazy. But to answer your question, I told my grandmother I wanted to do that. She goes, do what? I said, I want to make people happy like that. So she took a checker from a checkerboard, and she actually we went down to the local costume shop, and she literally made the pattern for the eagle that Elvis wore, the Aloha Eagle. And I had a miniature jumpsuit that I was wearing within probably 3 to 4 months after, after that all happened. And I started doing like a lot of long-term care facilities for people, and started doing benefits and started doing fundraisers, and just as a child, and the funny thing is, there's kids today that they have a children's division and a teen division of Elvis tribute artists in the competitions every year all around the world. So people go, I love it when people go, well, Elvis was before my age. I remember about maybe 12, 14 years ago, I had a baseball game that I ended up doing called the Allentown Ambassadors baseball game. Okay. It's one step down from the Phillies in Philadelphia. And about 150 kids came up for autographs. I just did, I was doing Star Spangled Banner. It's just really cool.
I gave a letter to the postman. He ordered it his sign.
I love doing what I do, and I've been doing it since I was a child.
Okay, so fast forward a little bit. So you're doing your thing, you're performing at these retirement centers and stuff like that. You're looking good. People are, when did you realize like, wow, I kind of got a thing going on here? Like, when did you decide to really put the pedal to the metal?
It wasn't, it's funny. I wish I had the old recording still, because I sounded like something in a grinder. It was kind of crazy. But then again, you listen to Elvis in the 50s, his voice wasn't what you'd expect either. But at the time, he was cutting edge. So I practiced every day for like 10 years of my life. When I was 10 to I was 20 years old, for 5 hours a day. But I guess what really the strange thing that happened is when I was 10 years old, there was a talent contest in my hometown. And there was a bunch of people. It was just a small thing in the small town. I only lived in a very small town. It was like 50 bars in it, like 2 miles long, kind of like Tupelo, which is kind of crazy. But I won the talent contest for doing That's Right, Mom. I won $100 at 10 years old. And it was kind of like, okay, this is interesting. So I just it's really awesome when you do something you enjoy. But then it's really awesome when you actually get paid for doing something you enjoy.
What was your first paid gig? Was that the first paid one? Well, I mean, when you won something?
Yeah, probably when I was 10 years old. I was doing a lot of fundraisers and stuff before that. I did a lot of stuff for the USO shows and for 4-H. Mm-hmm. And with the 4-H club, every week I was going over to Philadelphia to the I'm trying to think, the Veterans Hospital. And I was performing for those guys that lost their legs and all this other stuff. And it was really, really cool to be able to watch people, the reaction that they were really happy to have me there. They enjoyed it. They had fun with it. They thanked me. I mean, I'm just an entertainer. I just love doing what I do, and it's a lot of fun for me. So,
So you end up getting paid, you're doing your thing. Mm-hmm. When did you decide to take this, like, I'm ready to, like, this is going to be my primary focus. Like, this is the real deal. I was 20
years old.
Okay.
When I was 20 years old, I did my very first professional show. I had a manager. I had a newspaper article written about me. And the newspaper article written about me was from the Courier Post. And the funny thing is, it's also owned by Gannett News, which is the USA Today, which is a very big paper. And they didn't just do a small article. They did a huge article on me. And the owner of the place had an Elvis guy there maybe about 4 or 5 months before me. And he was like the most popular Elvis guy in Jersey. It's crazy. And he said, you're not going to put more than 50 people in my place. It's not going to happen. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your energy. So I'm like, okay, so give me the door. And he said, okay, fine. There's nothing to lose there. He had nothing except for a Friday night. He really had nothing to lose. It was in November. It was actually on October 11th, 1987. I'll never forget it. It was a holiday weekend, and I got a manager that actually owned a limo company, and we started promoting the heck out of it. And in those days, they didn't have karaoke.
Oh, okay.
So in those days, it was like I signed paperwork to do a 4-wall deal, not having a band. Okay.
Mhm.
So picture this. I have a show I got to put together in literally less than 2 months. I've got to get people interested in me. And I have to take this thing to a whole new level to get people's attention. I don't know. This might be before your time. I don't know if you ever watched the movie. If you ever get a chance, watch this movie. It's called The Idol Maker. Ray Sharkey
Okay.
is the one who plays this idol maker. He actually creates these stars out of these guys that are pretty much nobodies. They have really good look. They have good voice. The one kid named Cesare that was a busboy. Okay. They made him, he had this really good look about him. Okay. So he had this teen idol look. And the funny thing is, the ironic thing about it is they actually, in the movie, Cesare opens up his first concert in Memphis in Elvis's backyard. Okay. And Elvis is still alive, supposedly, at this time. And the funny thing is, so I looked at that and I'm like, so what they did is that nobody knew who this kid was. They didn't know how he sounded, but they knew what he looked like. And his look got him the attention he needed. So that's what I literally used that as a jumping point to, because my look was very strong even as a kid. I was able to pull it off with the sunglasses and all that stuff, and there was a great side view, so we used that. And then I got a bunch of college musicians that learned with a bunch. They willing to take the door with me. They worked with me. The owner was right. We didn't put 50 people in the place. Almost 900 showed up. The fire marshal had to come. They literally were talking about shutting the place down.
Wow.
Nice.
I
had a friend of mine.
Well, a chain around my neck, lead me anywhere, oh, let me be, oh, let me be your teddy bear.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine that was a police officer, lieutenant. He's like, look, just let it go through, let it happen. This place held 375, and it was 877. I remember one of the guys specifically, my grandparents, my mom and parents were there. And I remember one guy actually trying to rip another person apart to get a scarf and almost got cut on a beer bottle. It was crazy.
Wow.
And I was like, and I'm not even wearing a jumpsuit. I'm wearing, we got a 4-piece band.
Yeah.
We have a 4-piece band. We've got 2 horns. And these guys are college musicians out of Glassboro State University, which now is Rowan University. And we're just practicing with records. That's all I did for maybe 2 months. That's all we did. And they did everything on gratis, as far as me to work with them. And the interesting thing was that the owner came up to me and said, how'd you do that? I said, well, maybe next time you won't give me the door, you'll pay me. Unfortunately, that never happened because the next year he actually had fire the place and it burnt down to the ground.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in a mall too, which is crazy. But yes,
That's awful.
my life, I could write a book about my life. I've actually considered it.
Wait, folks, can I just interrupt, please? Folks, you should, if you're just listening and you're not going to watch it on YouTube, this man, very handsome man, I know he was somber about his age. I don't know if somber is the right word, but he has jet black hair. He has similar hairdo to Elvis, and he has sideburns. Can you show off your sideburns a little bit there so we can see? I mean, all that's real. That's not, none of that's, no wigs, none of that stuff. So
Nope. Let's see.
just to give you guys an image of what's going on, he has some jewelry on. He is just fluffing his hair. He is bragging because I have zero hair. And look at that. What's that say there on
TCB? It's a copy of Elvis's ring.
TCB?
Wow.
Copy of Elvis's ring. So he is
right here.
mhm.
It weighs a ton. This is
Wow.
what Ginger Alden gave to Elvis for Christmas of 75. I think.
And that is a necklace that he is holding up there.
On the Maltese cross.
Wow. So do you wear that on your own usually? Like if you're going grocery
No.
shopping? Okay. So
I
that's
usually don't. I keep things very low key. I don't wear any jewelry or anything. I just try to keep things, when I'm performing, I try to play the part. Elvis played the part very, very well. When he was off stage, he was very quiet.
okay.
He was actually very reserved, very quiet, very, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, talking to everybody and everything else as far as anybody's listening. But the thing was with Elvis that I learned about him is that he played the consummate superstar on stage, but when he was off stage, he was very tight knit about who he had with as far as friends. He didn't know if people liked him for who he was or what he represented and what they could get from him. Which is, if you think about it, is a double-edged sword, and it's a very tough situation to be in. As far as that's concerned, it just, it's mind blowing. The man, if you think about it this way, here's a man who sold out. He had a comeback in 1968. Okay. It's supposed to be a Christmas special. The last song, If I Can Dream. Are you familiar with that song?
Rob is.
Mate,
You know
I
what
don't
that
think
was
so.
for?
What's that?
You know what that was for?
No.
You might want to play it if you can pull it up while we're doing this, because I think you'll find it interesting. There must be lights burning brighter sometime. Got to be birds flying higher in the sky, more blue. If I can dream of a warmer sun where hope keeps shining on everyone, tell me why, oh, why won't that sun appear? They're very, very strong songs.
Wow.
Wow,
Wait,
yeah,
hold
that
on
was
a
great.
second. Don't just go start talking and pretending you can just do something amazing now.
Just my
That voice. That voice.
That is very, very Elvis.
So just to go back to one of the facts here, can we just unpack this for a second? I know you mentioned in your list there of all of your, your outstanding resume, you're the only Elvis tribute artist in 2007 to sell a record, to have a record deal for having the closest vocals to Elvis. If we fact check that anywhere, would that be the case?
It's a computer match. We were working on putting something together. It never came to fruition. We're still working on something that I really wasn't going to talk about, but I'm going to anyway.
All right.
This is separate from the record deal we were talking about, but there's a person by the name of W.P. Smith that unfortunately passed away. A couple of the songs he was working on, one was supposed to be for Conway Twitty, another one was supposed to be used for another professional singer. And the thing is that the person, W.P. Smith passed away, but his partner, okay, I actually just talked to him a couple of days ago. He wrote in collaboration with him on these songs, and the music and the lyrics of the songs are just incredible, and they're very unique. And they gave me permission to record them if I want to. And I think they all have potential to be #1 hits. See,
This has lit me fire, sweet sound of a choir, I'm on the sky, burning love.
Wait, hold on. Wait. This is real. The closest voice to Elvis. I mean, I know like this is your thing to try to do, but is this like documented anywhere?
it's not even, it's done by Computer Match, and it was done, there's a write-up on it. I don't know exactly where it is now, but the person who originally wrote it was a producer in Utah, and he, Sheldon Hansen, and he passed away, I believe. I can't even get a hold of him. I don't know where he is anymore. This is years ago.
Maybe he's dead.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It could be
I
that.
don't know, but the thing is, if you go on to the website you found me on, if you
Yes.
listen to the audio, there's duets on there of me and Elvis together singing. And then you can be the judge right there, because
Gotcha.
there's no nuances on the vocals. There's no bells and whistles added to it. There's nothing. I mean, it's like, the song Unchained Melody.
Sing
Yeah.
it for us.
Elvis had a very strong voice. He had
Yes.
the kind of voice that had a cry in it. Okay. The challenge with a lot of the guys that do what I do is I think a lot of them, they don't know who they are personally. They haven't been able to figure out who they are. Therefore, they try to hide behind a persona. I'm not going to go down that road, but I'm just trying to explain to you that's my perspective of what I've learned over the years. Not everybody. Okay. But, when Elvis did that song, it was almost like the world shattered. It was like shaking. It was crazy. It's almost like, oh, my love, my darling, I hunger for your touch. Alone, lonely time, I need your love. It's almost like romancing the song instead of just singing it.
Yes.
I mean,
Amazing.
There's so much. If you actually knew all of the pain that Elvis went through over the years, between the segregation, between him telling people, he stole black men's music, and yet he was friends with a lot of black musicians and good friends with them, even had housekeepers and people that were taking care of him that he bought homes for and cars for and took care of. The reason Elvis didn't stop is because I know for a fact that this is exactly what happened. Elvis wanted to retire at one point. And he's like, I can't. I've got 16 people that are depending on me. Band members that have, gone through everything with me, all this other stuff. Their family members are depending on me. I can't stop. And the fans, I owe it to them, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have any of this stuff. See, that's the thing that most guys don't get. If it wasn't for Elvis Presley, they wouldn't be working.
So does that get, because I'm on one of my list of questions here, what are the things that get you upset about excuse me, I just want to touch base real quick. I was going to say impersonators, but it was you that mentioned we refer to them as Elvis tribute artists, or I think with anybody, right?
Yeah,
like a Michael Jackson tribute artist. Does that offend you? Obviously, I didn't do it maliciously, but when you hear somebody just say impersonator, does that get you upset?
The thing is that the word impersonator, in my opinion, and this is my opinion and how I look at this, and some guys that are really, really good, like extremely good, like Bill Cherry and all those guys, they do use the word impersonator. I mean, that's on them, okay? He's won the ultimate. He looks really good. He sounds really good. He's an amazing entertainer. I have nothing against Bill at all. But as far as the word impersonator, in my opinion, so it for the most part, not saying with Bill, but for the most part, a lot of people have associated that with amateurism and satire.
What gets you the most upset?
People that don't understand the pain that Elvis went through and understand what the man had to go through to be able to get to where he was, and to how much he reinvented himself instead of looking at him as a joke or a mockery.
Now, when you see the other tribute artists out there, even the ones you're just like walking on the street, like if I'm in Manhattan or something and I see one of those guys, does that get you upset?
No, you know what I think really gets me more aggravated? It's a matter of, we'll say thank you very much, or, I'm not a court jester. Okay. I'm a professional entertainer. My biggest fear, and I can actually say this, is probably the same fear that Elvis had. And it's all out of all the years I've done, all the shows I've done, all the articles have been written about me, everything has been done on the news, the whole 9 yards, and everything that, the fact that what you've seen me accomplish, is anybody going to remember me when I'm gone?
Gotcha.
For everything that I've done and how many people I've touched and everything else, is it enough? It's not necessarily always about the money. It's not always necessarily about anything except really taking people to a whole new level where they can escape all their aggravation and stress in their life and entertain them. And that's what Elvis did for me when I was 6. So Elvis to me was more like a father figure. So I guess what I do is I kind of defend his image as much as possible, respectfully. And when you say, does anything really get on my nerves when it comes to other guys? They do the best they can with what they have. I don't judge people like that. That's not really me. The one thing I do have a challenge with, and my fiance tells me I talk too much when it comes to stuff, but it's true. If you're a fan, that's great.
Yep.
Okay. If you're a true fan, that's wonderful. I'm not going to mention names when I say this to you, but I went to a competition one time in Milwaukee. Huge competition. This guy has traveled all over the country. He's been in major theaters, performed everywhere. Okay. He was wearing it was a Cooley pendant. And the Cooley pendant is the pendant that Elvis was given for the Aloha concert that he did. It was a gift for the Cooley Cancer Foundation. Okay. And I asked the guy, "Oh, you're wearing the Cooley pendant?" He goes, "Oh, I just wear it because Elvis had it." I'm like, really? You're supposed to know the history behind this, or why even wear it? It's almost like, why even do that? It's like it's like being in the military and picking up a weapon, not knowing how to fire it.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Another situation where I know another ETA in Las Vegas one time that was doing a show, and I watched him in Las Vegas in a small stage, and he stops the show. In the very beginning, he stops the show completely. And he goes, "1 second, folks, I'll be right back." And he goes back to the dressing, and he comes out wearing a bracelet. And he goes, this was a gift from one of Elvis's bodyguards, and I don't want to turn around, and I can't do any show without just bad luck and everything else. And I said to him, "So which guy gave you the bracelet? I don't know, man. I bought it on eBay. Really? That's the kind of stuff that bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People trying to make an image for themselves that doesn't exist. If you go and look for my stuff, endorsements, things have been said about me, things have been done on me being endorsed by McDermott Hughes, okay, not only for doing Elvis, but also playing professional pool. Me being a brown belt in Kempo and Kempo Karate Association in Florida, you'll find all of those accolades. You'll find all that stuff. You'll find pictures of me with the, the instructor and everything else giving me the certificate in Atlantic City, my brown belt. I mean,
so you got a brown belt in what? What kind of karate?
Kempo.
Okay. Could you kick Rob's ass right now, just looking at him?
Kempo
It's
karate,
okay.
any kind of karate is always used to defend others and take care of yourself, never used to aggression.
If he
See,
attacked
good
you,
answer,
let's say,
good answer.
because you're drinking your iced tea, he comes up to you, he attacks you. Could you kick his weak little ass?
You
Tell the
can
truth.
say it. You can be truthful. I won't be offended.
I don't usually get like that, but I mean, if I'm trying to protect somebody, I know I can take care of myself. Put it that way.
When I'm with that girl that I love best, my heart beats so it scares me to death. You touch my head, a woman shit like that.
So he knows he can beat
He
your
can,
ass.
yeah, he can probably beat
One
me
thing
up.
that really blew my mind about Elvis, if you ever get a chance to watch, a karate
Yeah.
video, you brought this
Good.
up. There's actually a karate video on Elvis, and it's a bunch of stuff he did. But one of the things he did, which is very, very dangerous, but he did it anyway, and he actually took his bodyguards down with it. They went at his throat, and he went forward and pushed them down to the ground with his throat muscles. You can
Whoa.
do it in Kempo. But, I mean, here's a man who sings for a living. It's his life, yet he
Yeah.
risked that to do that.
So I,
No.
you know what I notice every time I've brought something up to you, and I admire this. This doesn't bother me. It always goes back to Elvis. I mean, that's how important this guy is in your life, right? I ask you stuff about you, you tell me, and then it goes back to Elvis again. And I appreciate that. I think that's you. Why do you think you do that? Is it because you share so much knowledge of him, or do you want to pass that information on to the world any platform you can?
It's probably a lot of this, I think a lot of it has to do with I'm trying to get people to know a different side of Elvis that I found out about over the years, but also that my heart's in the right place when I perform. I mean, I don't know if you know this already, but there's one big thing I got to mention to you in announcements.
Go ahead.
That's really kind of cool.
Please do.
So, all right. So I'm already headlining in Ohio in July. Okay, in Orville, Ohio for the festival there. And everybody else is doing live bands. We're doing track show. And they had no problem with that. So in August, I'm going to be in North Dakota. Okay,
Wow.
I'm doing a Conscious in the Park thing. So I didn't want to just do that. I wanted to try to set up some kind of a tour. Even though I'm not at liberty to tell you which casino it is right now, because we haven't had a date locked in, but it's going to be in August. I am working on, and it's already been agreed upon that I'm going to do this, a 4,000 square foot, a 4,000 seat arena, where Garth Brooks has played and a lot of major
Wow.
stars have played. And no other casino will book me in that state because it's the biggest venue in the whole state.
Wow.
And she even told me that a lot of people have been trying to get a hold of her over the years, but she was really taken back, not in a bad way, of how I contacted her. See, I don't handle, if I contact somebody and I want to do a book, okay, and I say to them, yeah, I do Elvis for a living. It's like, yeah, I know, me and 1,000 other guys. Okay, actually, 200,000 guys actually at this point.
Actually, 400,000 in the world and 35 in the U.S. alone.
Yeah, I know. I'm one of the 35. It's actually just been posted in a book too.
Apparently, you're number top 20 in the world.
Yep.
Who's number one?
There's right now. It really depends on who wins the ultimate. Last year and the year before that.
If I give you a name, let's see if this rings a bell, okay? Because this is just a simple Google search. I think like the best Elvis or something.
Mhm.
Sean Clush, you know that fella?
Sean Clush and I have a birthday that's 3 days apart from each other, both Geminis. Yeah, I know Sean very well.
All right, and
Nice.
so
There's
do you
actually
guys,
a picture of me and Sean together on Facebook.
Do you agree with number one? I mean, number one's tricky, but do you think he should be where he is?
Sean is the one who won the best in the world in the very beginning the very first Ultimate Elvis competition, and he is the only one that's been personally endorsed by Joe Esposito, Elvis's road manager, before Joe passed away in the BBC in England. And I'm not going to say anything else, but I will put it this way: I don't know how true this is, but there has been a rumor that Sean has a piece of jewelry that Priscilla actually gave to him.
Wow. Wouldn't you love to get your hands on that, huh?
So okay, let's go back to the bear in the room, if we will. Okay, if you'll understand what I mean in a minute. So I knew Sean before he became anything, when he was first starting out about 30 years ago. Okay, and you told me you want me to take the gloves off, so I'm going to be as polite about this as possible.
Please do.
I find it very interesting that a lot of the guys that I became friends with over the years that have accomplished a lot of things, can't give you the time of day when they get to a certain level. We'll put it that way.
Gotcha. Okay.
Me personally, I don't care how big I get. I don't care how many things I've done. I don't care what I've accomplished. You'll never have any problems getting a hold of me by phone, by text message, or email, ever. Okay, I don't believe in hiding behind managers. I mean, I've had 2 managers right now that want to book me big time, that want to manage me. I have a problem with that. Maybe it's because of what I saw Elvis, with the Colonel, what happened with Elvis, and we're not going to get in that road either. But there's a lot of hearsay about all that. I think also the Colonel did a lot for Elvis because he got him a lot of places that Elvis couldn't get himself to on his own.
Is there a lot of beef in that community, in the tribute artist community? Is there like a lot of nonsense? I mean, do people go back and forth? Is there jealousy involved? Is it money hungry?
Let's put it this way. Do you ever see drag queens?
I think that rings a bell.
You ever see drag queens fight?
Oh, drag queens in general. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, go
do you
ahead.
ever see 2 women fight?
I have seen 2 women fight. Yes.
Okay, that's like the guys at most of the competitions. Not mentally and not physically fighting. They're literally, it's like ego after ego after ego after ego. It's like, why don't you perform in Vegas? It's just because everybody tries to undercut everybody, and I don't want to be part of a circus, and I won't go to Memphis during Elvis Week usually because of that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I will go to Memphis and I will compete, but I will not go there to compete for the money. I'll go there to compete, to pour my heart out to people. And if they decide that they want to make me the best in the world, see, before any of this even started, before the Ultimate started and all this stuff, and this is my hidden secret, but I will tell you this. When I was 10 years old and Elvis passed away in 1977, I made a decision, and it was before I even had realized that how much the look was there and everything else. I said, I want to do the best tribute to Elvis, bar none, based on heart, not ego. And I said this was 10 years old. I wanted to be considered the best in the world, not because of ego, but I wanted the fans to know that there's somebody out there that cares as much about Elvis's image and about who he was as an entertainer and a human being as they do. Because I'm a fan first.
I see you. I see these people watching some of your videos. I mean, you had, it must have been, Rob, I'm not exaggerating. I think you saw like 20-something scarves on him, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's just
teddy bears
passing them on. Here's a kiss, passing them. And these people are in line waiting for the kiss. And he is just doing his thing. He's able to sing. He's able to make it happen. So we know you pour your heart out on those things. I love the fact that we're actually getting to Mike O'Connor now. I love it. I love the history of Elvis. I love that stuff. But I'm fascinated by you, sir. And I'm going to tell you why. Because, you mentioned the numerous, the being on the news, being the top 20 in the world. You have a lot of stuff going on. How much money do you think you have put into this over the years? Like when you went professional?
A lot. I mean, it's not even just about money. It's also about blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah. So on the setup, the costumes, the hair, or whatever you gotta do. How much?
I'll put it this way. Give me 1 second.
Please do. Folks, he is walking away right now. He's a beautiful background. He's coming back.
Wow.
What looks to be, is that a jacket?
The vest.
Yeah,
It's a vest.
wow.
A vest.
Is about $650.
Hold
Wow.
on. Come closer to the mic. Please let the audience know at home what you just said.
It's about $650. It's custom made. It's an exact copy of, well, Elvis didn't wear a vest like this, but he wore a jumpsuit like this called a Conquistador. But the suits can go anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000, $6,000 a piece.
Wow.
Now,
See,
does
that's quite
the one
investment.
does the one that you wear is it like the same, like 25 pounds like his would have been?
That vest is heavy as hell.
Oh, okay. Wow, nice.
It really is. I have a belt upstairs that is probably weighs 6 or 7 pounds.
Wow.
Well, that's all right, mama. That's all right for you.
That I actually, it was a joke about it because I actually lost about 40 pounds in the past 2 months.
Wow.
Damn.
yeah.
Very good. Very good.
By the way, just to give you an idea real quick, I'm going to go off the beaten path here for a second. I learned something. There's a thing called diastasis recti. Do you know what that is?
No idea.
If you look it up, it's actually where the right ab muscle and the left ab muscle separate.
Okay.
So when you stand up, it looks like you have you're pregnant. It pushes your stomach out from the visceral fat from behind.
Mhm.
I found out that the African mango actually targets that visceral fat. They've gotten 3 different blind studies done on it, that the average person loses 28 pounds over a period of 10 weeks. I lost so much weight on it that my fiance said that she wanted it for Christmas. I bought it for her. She's already lost 15 pounds in less than a month. And I didn't just lose weight. It went from a 63-inch chest to down to like almost a 52.
Wow.
So, but I'm 6'1". I mean, I'm a big guy, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not. I'm definitely not a small guy. That's for sure. But even if even when you saw me in the House of Blue show in Atlantic City,
Yes.
when I was down to 230, I was still, my chest still stayed around a 46.
So when I go to a House of Blue show, that was sold out, right?
Yeah, and the interesting thing about that story is, for 4 years, every casino, every booking agent in Atlantic City told me I'll never headline in Atlantic City. It'll never, ever happen.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, there was a really well-known Elvis guy, along Sean's caliber, that played that same room a year before me and only put 300 people in that place. And I said, okay. So I convinced them to let me play there. We had 1,000 people there. Got it videoed. Non-union. They weren't happy about that at all, because I wanted to keep it. There's a story behind that.
Hold on. Let's stay.
No, I mean, you want to get to know me. I want you to hear this.
Yeah, you got me roped in now. I don't want you to go
What
off.
it is. No, I'm not. It's all about this. So there was a woman that wanted to hire me for her mother's birthday in July, the month before that, but I was booked. Her mother had pancreatic cancer. So we made an agreement to surprise her mom, to bring her to Atlantic City to the show. They brought people from upstate New York. I stopped the show completely in front of 1,000 people, brought her to the front of the stage and did Bridge Over Troubled Water for her. And she said to me even that the world would be a much better place with people like you in it. She wrote a big letter for me and everything, and it just touched me so much. 6 months after I did that show for her, her mom passed away.
Mm.
She actually, her words were, we were going to take my mom to Graceland. We never had that opportunity, but thanks to you, I feel like, we were able to fulfill her dream. I had a girl one time on audio that recorded from a show that I did in 2002 in Westgate Mall in Bethlehem, PA, the first show I ever did there. Once again, same type of scenario. They had a guy there for like 5 years, couldn't put more than 50 people in the place. I put 1,000 people in there with tracks. A woman actually came up to the beginning of the show and said, it was probably about maybe 10 songs in, and she said that I had a chance to go to what would have been Elvis's last concert. I never got a chance to see him live, but tonight I feel like I cashed that ticket in.
Cuddle me real tight, oh, let him be. Oh, let him be. Your teddy bear. Be careful.
That's great.
When you have people that say stuff like that to you,
Yeah.
see, what frustrates me is, like you heard me say, I don't hear what you. I hear myself. That's all I hear. I don't hear, like my fiance always tells me, well, talk like Elvis when you're talking to people and stuff. If I wanted to talk like Elvis, I mean, it's funny, like, Are You Lonesome Tonight? People, this is what I mean about the parody versus Elvis in general. You know, some guys will turn around and they'll do it like, you're not one of your lonesome tonight. Someone said the world's a stage. Elvis didn't do that. He didn't slur his speech. He was very deliberate. He was very respectful. It was more like, I wonder if you're lonesome tonight. Someone said the world's a stage and each must play a part. Act one is where he met. You read your lines so cleverly and never missed a cue. Then came back to, you seemed to change. You acted strange and why I'll never know. It's got to be real.
Organic.
Yeah.
It's very natural. So the reason beautiful story, but when I bring up the House of Blues, I think big leagues, right? This guy has to be making a killing. How much do you think? I mean, is this a lucrative profession now in 2022 where you're satisfied? Where is this your primary income?
For the most part, the thing is, look, this is probably going to sound really stupid for me to say this, but it's the absolute truth. There's certain things in this life that you can't put a price on. Okay. I've had money over the years. I've had things over the years. I've had monetary things over the years. I've had things given to me. I mean, I've accomplished a lot over the years with different things. And the thing is, I've learned one thing. I know a lot of guys that are very wealthy that are very miserable internally and have no balance in their life. I've known Tony Robbins for 25 years. I did a firewalk with him in Denver, Colorado. I hold a degree as a doctor of metaphysics. I'm a licensed hypnotherapy NLP master practitioner. If you go to ASLA, American Seminars Association in California, you'll see I'm a certified seminar speaker. I'm an ordained minister. I mean, there's a lot of things about me. There is.
That's a big list.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
The thing is that I always wanted to I didn't want to be that person at 70 years old or 80 years old in a rocking chair in some, long-term facility thinking back to myself, why didn't I do that? Why didn't I try that? Why didn't I, accomplish that? Because there's nothing, regrets. Okay. A lot of people, they have regrets for things they never did. And I'm going to tell you what I did, actually. And I think you know this. After 44 years, as of 9 months and 12 days, I think it is now, I quit smoking cold turkey. Stopped. Nothing. I mean, no vape, nothing, just quit. And, the voice you hear now, I used to make excuses when I used to smoke. And the excuse was, oh, my voice isn't going to sound the same when I quit smoking. It's not going to have that same tone. That was just a bunch of crap that I told myself. That was just not cool. And I had a lady that came up to me as a nurse that actually hired me about 3 or 4 years ago and said to me, you're selfish. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, you have a beautiful voice and you are literally wasting that voice because of your own ego. And you think that cigarettes are more important to you than those people. People thought you were lip syncing. They thought you were just singing along with the music. They didn't think you were really singing. They thought you were just, mimicking. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, I never looked at it that way, but I wasn't ready to quit. I mean, I stopped for like 6 months, but I still, like, here and there, I had cigarette here and there. But I said, the only way I'm going to quit is if I quit. And in between vaccinations, I will mention this about vaccinations. I got vaccinated. I don't care what anybody other reason is why they don't want to do it, where they don't. I did it for one reason and one reason only. And it wasn't just me, okay? I wanted to make sure whoever hired me, whether they're vaccinated or not, could understand that I respected them enough to get vaccinated, to put my personal feelings about that aside and just do that for the benefit of the people that are having me perform for them. It was more of a selfless thing than a selfish thing. And I quit smoking in between shots. That's when I quit.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that. That's a big accomplishment. The
weird thing is, I didn't interrupt you, but this is important. The weird thing is about my voice. I went to a throat doctor. Okay, my throat doctor. I have sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. It is what it is. But I'll get into that later. But I literally, well, no, I had, she found nodules on my vocal cords.
Oof.
But
That's
they
scary.
weren't cancerous. They weren't cancerous. And she said, anybody wants to cut them out, tell them run. Don't even go near them. So we did some speech therapy. And the speech therapy, which is really crazy, it's called straw phonation. Most people don't know what it is. Do you know what it is?
I think Rob does. Do you know what it is, Rob?
I am unclear.
Rob's my
on it.
smart guy. I don't know any of this stuff.
I don't know
Okay,
this.
well, you remember when you were a kid and you would blow bubbles into a cup?
Wait,
Yeah.
Mike, please. I just
I'm trying to show you something.
Can I make six figures being an Elvis tribute artist right now if I poured my heart and soul into it?
It is possible. There's guys out there that are playing major venues and all that stuff doing
But
it.
is that like cap though? When you say it is possible, is that like, good luck?
No,
That's
I know guys that make $4 or $5 million a year doing it.
What's the most you've ever made at a show?
The most.
Yep. Here's your check.
$8,000.
$8,000.
Damn,
Were you
one
like,
night of work.
holy moly, that's one night?
Well, I mean, you got to
Yeah,
prep
it was
for
one
it.
night I got to pay the band. I had to pay the band. I had to pay for a suit. I had to pay for other stuff too. But I also been able to keep all the merchandise costs because we sell merchandise sometimes, t-shirts and all that stuff there. But
And Rob, we will be getting free merchandise. I already talked to Mike before.
Nah,
that, so
really?
talking about, I want your t-shirts, man.
I'll do an even trade.
I was curious. Do you play with the same band every time you play a gig, or do you
Usually I
just
use tracks for corporation stuff, private stuff now, even
Okay.
some of the track shows, because for safety reasons, a lot of people don't want you to, they don't want to have a live band for safety reasons.
Now I noticed you meant the vaccines. I didn't want to go too deep into that whole thing, but has COVID affected you in your business of being a tribute artist when they shut down everything?
Majorly, it has in a lot of ways, and it also. I mean, I've done a few virtual things, stuff like that, but really, it's been dead for the past year and a half for me, trying to get stuff done. But things are starting to turn around, and we're starting to, do some things again, and I've been able to, like I said, doing virtual things. We've got speaker systems that are wireless and like a JBL system, and we use that and with lighting and stuff like that. It really depends on how the weather is, and how cold it is out, stuff like that.
So let's say I'm doing my thing. I'm an up and coming guy. Let's say you notice me, right? Like that's how good I'm in the circuit right now.
Mhm.
And are you concerned about, because it's 2022. I know who Elvis is. You obviously know who Elvis is, my parents and stuff. I work with people that are probably in like their, early 20s and stuff. I think they have a general idea of who Elvis is. They're just like, I mean, they know Michael Jackson, but Elvis is like, he's there. They get a general idea. Are you worried for somebody like me who's in their 30s? Let's say I wanted to continue this on. Is there going to be that need and those people wanting to come and see Elvis and I could make serious dough?
No, because they're already having kids academies on how to train professional Elvis tribute artists.
There's an academy?
Yeah.
Why aren't you an instructor there?
For kids and for teenagers.
Where is that?
A guy named Cody, which is a really good Elvis guy. It's a friend of mine. He's in Florida. He actually created an academy.
So I can sign my kid up to learn how to be the man.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
Wow.
That's amazing. Okay, so you're not concerned about that at all from your business standpoint either. I don't think
Elvis is drawing about $25 to $40 million a year in income. That's what he pretty much grosses every year right now. With COVID, it was slower, obviously, and they had to do virtual tours and all that stuff. But Elvis's stuff, well, it's his. It's pretty funny, not to go off the beaten path, but you answer yourself one question. Out of all the problems we've had over the past 45 years of weather and tornadoes and hurricanes and everything, why is it that Graceland's never got hit?
That's Rob. Why is it? You seem to know everything.
Why. I mean, I don't know. That was one of my questions. You've been to Graceland, right?
Been there like 7-8 times.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I would love to go there. Like, I'm definitely a fan. Obviously, you're a bigger fan than I would be, but I'd love to check it out.
Well, Rob, you mentioned that you're a big fan. I want to see how big of a fan Mr. O'Connor is. Now, Michael, if you don't mind, I'm going to give you 3 songs. I'm just going to list the lyrics. I'm just going to give you some one-liners, and let's see if you know what they are. Are you up for the challenge?
Sure, why not?
All right. Here we go. This is probably easy for you. Now the stage is bare, and I'm standing there with emptiness. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Now the stage is bare.
Hold on, let me finish. And I'm standing there with emptiness all around.
Yep.
And if you won't come back to
Are
me,
you lonesome tonight?
absolutely correct. Rob, jot down 1 point, please.
1 point,
All
jot
right,
it.
here we go. So here next. So if an old friend I know stops by to say hello, would I still see suspicion in your eyes?
Suspicious minds.
No problem, right?
That's such an easy one, I thought.
I know, but I'm not sure. Listen,
Okay, I'm sorry.
just bear with me. Rob, how many points is that now?
That's 2 points.
All right, very
currently.
good. You can burn my house, steal my car, drink my liquor from an old fruit jar.
Blue suede shoes.
3 for 3, everybody.
Nice.
Rob, I believe that's a
Want to
100.
give me something more difficult?
No, I can't. It
I
was
know.
just, come on. I can't.
Why?
A lot. I don't know, man. Listen, you know everything. I'm not going to challenge you on everything. You know everything.
Yeah.
Rob, do you have
say
any
that.
questions for?
Well, I was curious, like, do you have a favorite Elvis song?
My grandmother got me into Elvis when I was a child, and like I was telling you about, she passed away in '94. And
Sorry to hear
it was
that.
Thank you. It was very hard on me. For 8 years, I didn't perform.
Mm.
And when I told you my life mirrored Elvis's a lot, it was very strange because the time Elvis was in the military was the same exact time before I went to 2001 to the House of Blues. I mean, to the Ultimate Elvis competition in Collingwood, which is considered the major competition at the time. So my pretty much my career was on hiatus for like almost 8 years because of that. When I came back, my father, my mom, and everything else were supposed to come to a dinner show that I put together, and we had it sold out. There was like 400 people going to be there, and with a live band and everything. My mom came, and my father, I called him that next day and told him I was going to bring the videotape over to him. Boy, am I showing my age. Anyway, so the day that I was supposed to bring the videotape over, my brother told me that Dad's gone. My dad passed away.
Oh, that's
So
awful.
that was 2 for 2. 6 months before my father and I, before he passed away, my dad and I buried the hatchet. My father was you want to know about me? I'll tell you about me. My father didn't like Elvis. Okay, my grandmother did. My father was a truck driver. My dad was into like Conway Twitty. He was into Johnny Cash. He liked Hee Haw. I mean, I loved all that stuff too because of my father. I learned all that stuff. So I guess it's what kind of made me very, very flexible. Like it's actually come in handy with me now, what I do, because I can play at a small bar or in the backyard someplace with somebody for like a birthday party. And I can also deal with a corporate CEO retirement party in a really high-end restaurant or hotel and feel very comfortable.
Real quick, how could you, if Rob in Boston, Massachusetts right now, like legit Boston, calls you and says, I want you to come out and I want you to play at my my mother's birthday party that we're having, right? At the house. What am I looking at? How much money?
It depends on how long. It depends on travel time. It depends on how long. It depends on, what we're talking about. I mean,
let's say he wants you to do 2 hours, an hour of performing and then another hour just sticking around, and then we give you dinner and all that stuff.
Usually when I perform, it's usually 45 minutes to an hour because of the vocal cords and everything else. I've been trying to keep things minimal because of the travel and also my throat. I want to try to, pace myself. For an hour with travel, anywhere from 800 to 12 plus hotel.
That's pretty reasonable, I think. Having you come out from Pennsylvania, right? Like,
I mean, I know some guys that do what I do to get $3,000 to $5,000. I know one guy that I actually found out that actually was offered $75,000 to perform for an hour.
Now, when you hear that, are you like, why is it that guy? Like, do you put yourself when you're at top 20? Do you put yourself at the top 20, like personally?
No, it's honestly, people listen with their eyes. What I mean by that is, my weight was getting out of control because of COVID. There's some other issues dealing with health issues with CPAP and all that stuff. And the smoking didn't help either. I quit that, gained weight.
Good for you.
It caused problems. And then, people, you can get away with a lot more when you're thin and you're younger.
That's true. That's true.
no matter who it is. But I mean, like Elvis even said, you're never going to please everybody. It's never going to happen. You know, there's some people that think you're the best thing on the planet, and there's some people that just like, whatever. You know, I'm not there. I always tell people I don't want to work with them because they just want an Elvis guy. I want to work with them because they want to work with me. You know, as a person, I build relationships with people. I just did a thing today. We just did a virtual thing today for a woman in Texas for like half an hour. And I had a little bit of problem with Zoom. So I actually stayed on with her for like 50 minutes and I did a lot longer. And I did it very reasonably to help her out and everything else. And I wanted to make it special for her. And she was very happy. So, you know, it really depends on the circumstances. I mean, I've went down like a few $100 just to do something for somebody for a half an hour on, you know, on a video thing, just to do something for them because I didn't want to see them bring some hack in that was just going to do it, you know, just go through the motions, look nothing like Elvis, sound nothing like Elvis. And it's like, why even hire the guy? I look at Elvis, I'll put it this way. This is my own analogy. I look at Elvis, hiring an Elvis tribute artist, like a pair of socks or a tie at Christmas. Okay. What I mean by that is, you know, when you get the tie or the socks from your relatives, you don't want to hurt their feelings because it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your life, or you don't need another pair of socks. You don't want to say anything to them because you don't want to hurt their feelings. They are doing the best they can based on their knowledge of Elvis, but they don't understand the people that they're doing it for are a lot more in tune with what Elvis was really like.
It was wrong to go. I belong there by your side.
A lot of people hire me. Actually, people that are hiring me that have actually seen Elvis live. My grandmother actually met Elvis 4 times.
Wow.
Have you met Elvis?
No.
He was too young.
Yeah, too young. Can I ask you?
Yeah.
You mentioned before, you dropped Tony Robbins' name. You did the fire walk with him, which is awesome. Who's the most famous person you have in your cell phone right now that's easily accessible?
Ray Walker, the Jordanaires. I have a guy that's an actor that's been on, I'm trying to think of if you'd even know who he is. He was on Gotham. He's his actually last name is my name. It's O'Connor. He's in New York. M. Night Shyamalan. I mean,
wait, you have M. Night Shyamalan in your phone?
Yeah, I have M. Night Shyamalan on my phone. I actually
what a twist!
I did an event for his one of his producers for a birthday party.
Wow, that's awesome. That's pretty good.
Have you ever butt dialed M. Night Shyamalan by mistake? Sorry, wrong text.
The also, one time I used to have the phone number for the guy who was the producer of the investor behind the World War Z.
If you were to call, in all honesty, if you were to call M. Night Shyamalan, now he doesn't have to be right now, but if you were to call him, do you think he'd answer? Would he know who you are?
He don't know who I was. Would he answer the phone? I don't know. I can get Ray Walker on the phone anytime I want him at Christmas time. Usually we talk at Christmas all the time, and he worked with Elvis for 20 years. And I've been to, when we were in Nashville, my fiance, him and his wife and I all had dinner together, and Ray took, he wouldn't take no for an answer. He paid for it. And I mean, we talk. We have normal conversations. It's pretty funny. A lot of the guys that I knew that knew Elvis personally, I became friends with. I always get the question, how come you never played with any of these guys? And I go, because everybody that's ever worked with them had to pay to work with them. Mm-hmm. In other words, to be friends.
Interesting.
So they would talk about Elvis stuff. Larry Geller, Larry Geller, which is Elvis's guru that actually did his hair in his coffin, and we're best friends. Friends with him. J.D. Sumner, Donnie Sumner. I've known Joe Moscheo for years from Stamps. A lot of these guys I became friends with on a personal level. Mm-hmm. So we'd have normal conversations. We wouldn't have necessarily Elvis conversations. But that's what I felt. It was awesome for me because I got to know people that knew Elvis, and we brought up from time to time and different things. Like, I know a secret about Elvis that most people don't know.
Well, are you willing to share?
Okay, so I had laryngitis one time for one of my shows. I woke up in the morning, and I was terrified. This is maybe about 15 years ago. The show was completely sold out. I woke up with laryngitis. I called Joe Mascalo up and I said, Joe, what am I going to do? He goes, I'm going to tell you a secret. Elvis didn't drink. I don't know if you knew that or not, but he didn't drink. He didn't like it. He hated it. He would never put, anything. You never see a picture of him ever, even with beer in his hand. But he would take a shot of whiskey, warm whiskey, if he had laryngitis, and it would actually it would relax his vocal cords. Wouldn't be able to speak very well, and I took Joe's advice. I was able to sing 2 full sets without any issues, but I couldn't speak that well at all. But he helped save my show that night.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Stuff
Pro
like
tip.
that.
Can you sing right now on demand? I know it's up to you, but can you sing something right now per my request?
What do you want to hear?
Rob, hit me with something. What do you want?
Well, my favorite. Well, I wanted to get back to that. What was your favorite Elvis song? that was in my initial question. But
sing your the man's not no.
My favorite is "It's Now or Never." You know that number?
It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Oh, tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never. My love won't wait.
So
Thank
while
you,
you're
thank
singing,
you.
while you're singing,
I love that song.
I love the smirk at the end. While you're singing that, what were you taking?
I think it's to not smoke, or what is that?
It's an act. It helps dry. My throat gets dry sometimes.
Act. Dry mouth lozenge. Look at him go.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, thank you for that. I love that song.
He's a very talented man.
Speaking sometimes for long periods of time, take a toll a bit on my throat.
So speaking of a awfully weird sounding voice, let's talk about Tony Robbins. How'd you meet this guy? When you just casually mentioned, yeah, I did Tony Robbins. I did the Fire Rock with him 20 years ago. Like, how does that happen?
Okay, so do you remember when he was on Larry King Live in 2000?
Rob?
I'm
on New
a
Year's
little
Eve.
blurry.
No,
I
I
was
don't
in
remember.
12.
All right. Well, New Year's Eve, 2000, he was on Larry King. In the 90s, I started listening to Personal Power, all the audio tapes, like a lot of people did on the infomercials. So he, no, it's just really weird because this is the same story that I just told to the woman I was telling you about for the casino and why she called me back, because I explained this to her and she's like, oh, now it makes sense. So what I was telling you before I got sidetracked, and I'll go to the Tony Robbins thing.
Goodness gracious.
Is when I called this casino I was telling you about in North Dakota,
Yes.
I used the same thing I did with Tony Robbins. And I said, hi, my name's Michael. I'd like to talk to you. It's kind of important. I'd really like to speak to you. If you could please give me a call back, I'd appreciate it. That was it. I didn't tell her it was about music. I didn't tell her about booking anything, trying to sell her anything, nothing. That was it. And she left her curious. So, but that's not what I did with Tony Robbins. What I did.
I think you left a voicemail of me like that too.
It worked, didn't it?
Of course it did. I'm like, wow, this guy has some big news, or I don't know. I mean, is it an emergency? I don't know. I'm taking that.
It wasn't rude and it wasn't over the top where it freaked you out. It has to be.
Well, I was like, yeah, it didn't freak me out, but it definitely had me curious.
So with Tony, he was on Larry King Live, and I went to call in, and they told me, I'm sorry, Tony's not taking any more phone calls. It's too late. You can't speak to him. I'm like, oh, no. That doesn't cut it for me. I didn't tell her that, but I said it to myself in my own head. So I just started doing some research. I started calling every single hotel, and I started realizing, wait a minute, Tony's got a pilot's license, so he can fly.
Wow.
And I'm like, instead of calling the hotels, maybe I should call the airports. Then I found out that he wasn't in New York like I thought. He was in Washington, D.C. That's where it was being filmed. So I called up Baltimore Washington Airport, got a hold of security. Security talked to me. And
did you say my name's Michael O'Connor, or did you identify yourself as somebody else?
No, I did.
Wow. Okay. So go ahead. This is fascinating. Go ahead.
So I was told, and you can look this up, that all the corporate jets out there and all the private jets use a company called Signature Air. Okay, that's where they usually get the planes from. So what I did is I called found out where Signature was located in DC. And instead of turned around and saying, is Tony Robbins' plane there? I said, has Tony gotten there yet? And he go, oh no, we're expecting him any minute. Who's this? And I said, oh, it's okay. I'll just call back in a few minutes. He knows. I'm like, okay. So I call back a few minutes later and they said, I said, has Tony gotten there yet? No, he's still not here yet. Oh, wait, here he comes. So I got on the phone with him and I explained my story to him and told him everything.
With Tony Robbins.
Yeah. And Tony's
hey, this is Tony. Yeah, so go ahead. Hey, Michael. What? Yeah.
Tony's exact words to me were, okay, if you can get a hold of me and I'm the hardest person to get a hold of like the president, I want to meet you personally. I said, I want to do the firewalk in Denver. And he goes, okay, I'll tell you what, I'll take care of your ticket for the firewalk in Denver, but you got to pay for your own hotel and your own airfare to get out here because you got to have skin in the game or I can't help you. You got to help yourself first and show me you really want my help. Mm-hmm. So I did. And then in 2002, we did the firewalk. And then in 2002, almost 2003, after my dad passed away, I went to Date with Destiny in Palm Springs for 5 days. It was like $5,000 normally. Tony covered that for me.
That's great.
I had a problem. The challenge was, I told you about my dad. The challenge of my father, my father always wanted me to live up to his expectations when he thought I should be. I was never the kind of person that was aggressive, that got into trouble or anything like that. I was always like passive and I always tried to I was very emotionally driven and that kind of stuff. So I said to Tony, I don't understand. He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, my dad passed away and I don't feel anything. What's wrong? I can't figure this out. And when I went to Date with Destiny, I remember standing outside about 3 days after into the event, standing in front of one of the water fountains, staring at the water. I was talking to my mom. And I said to my father, I don't understand why I don't feel anything about Dad. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. My father was no longer on the planet. I didn't have to worry about living up to his expectations. I was able to be who I wanted to be from that point on. And I didn't have to worry about being judged by him. Sorry.
That's okay. For folks, Michael's getting a little choking up a little bit. So just for the listeners out there.
So it was very, very it was very hard for me to understand, but I finally realized it. And it was like a major weight was lifted off my shoulders. You asked me a question when it came to this whole thing and why I got involved in all this and everything else. I actually believe that I was put here for a purpose because not just entertain people, but before Elvis passed away in 1977, I think I told you about this, but in April, it was March or April. You can look it up. There was a plane explosion in the Canary Islands, Tenerife. My grandparents, first of all, I can tell you everything. The reason I was telling you I was able to adapt to any environment pretty much when I perform is even though my father was into hee haw and all this stuff and, and Johnny Cash and John Wayne and all this stuff, my grandparents took me to Mexico City, Acapulco, Canary Islands. They spoiled me. Taught me class. My 14th birthday was spent at the Waldorf Astoria. My 13th birthday was spent in Canary Island, or actually 10th birthday was spent in Canary Islands, but my 15th birthday was actually spent in Atlanta, Georgia, where I went to Benihana. Just a lot of things. And my grandfather was very, very, he was a butcher for like 55 years. He was just very, very smart.
Losing you, Michael. Can't hear you. Fading away.
Is that better?
Much better.
Sorry. No, but what I was saying is my grandparents and I were supposed to be on that plane in 1977, 2 days before the plane took off. My grandpa got called into work and that plane, 583 people died on that plane. And I should have been one on there with my grandparents and I wouldn't be here right now.
Wow.
So when I tell you it was a bigger calling for me than just money, why I do this, it's a much bigger one than that. I want to be able to leave some kind of a mark on this world, not just as doing Elvis, but also as people getting to know me for me.
Well, you sure have left a mark on this world. Such a big enough mark that we were so happy to have you on the show. And I appreciate you just, taking time to go into Elvis and the history and explaining to us a little bit about your life. So I really do appreciate that. Final thoughts, Rob. Do you have any other questions for Michael?
Still just wondering what your favorite song is.
Yes.
Just
Tell us what your favorite song is.
It was my grandmother's favorite song. It was actually The Wonder of You.
Wonder of You.
Wonder of
Are you
Okay.
able to give us a little something, something on that?
The song goes, and it's a perfect song for anybody, and people really love it. I do it right before Elvis did Can't Hurt a Flame of Love when he ended all his shows. But the song goes, when no one else can understand me, when everything I do is wrong, you give me hope and consolation. You give me the strength to carry on, and you're always there to lend a hand in everything I do. That's the wonder of you.
Amazing.
Very good. That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much, Michael. Do you tell people, if I meet you for the first time, you say, and I say, hey, what do you do for work? Right? You ask me, I tell you, I say, hey, what do you do for work? Or I ask your fiance, hey, what's your fiance do for work? What does she say? What do you say?
I just say that I'm an Elvis tribute artist. I mean, most people don't really. And it's funny when you say that to me, because when I go out in public, people turn around and say, well, I was going to say something to you about that, but I didn't want to. And, instead of people looking at you like you're some kind of a freak, if you will, it's how I look. I mean, it's not, it's not like I'm trying to. Just me,
Do you have eyeliner on?
Yeah.
No, that looks good.
It's very, very little though.
Yeah. No, I hear you. How far is the upkeep hard to maintain the look of Elvis? No, looks very natural. Well, I appreciate you coming on. Rob, anything else?
I don't know. No, it's been good talking to you, Michael.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hey, Michael, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt sluggish?
What do you mean sluggish?
You ever feel tired? You ever just need a reset? Well, my friends at Refresh Mobile IV. They come out.
Funny.
They come to your house. Hold on, please let me give this plug. They come out. They go to you wherever you are. You're at home. You're at work. You just get done a gig. You're at the gym. You pass out. These guys, they come over. They put an IV in you, and there's so many different menus to choose from. I know. Look, you get the eyebrow and everything going on. This is just in Massachusetts. Apparently, these people are going to go all across the country. But you can go, if you just look up Refresh Mobile IV, you can check them out. Maybe you can get yourself a discount if you give them a shout out for Reality Tonic. Also, Michael, you like grilling?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. Do you know that if you go to www.grillyourassoff.com and you make any purchase at all, no minimum purchase, just anything you want, and you type in Reality Tonic, I can get you 15% off right away. And the big thing is, Michael, the best thing about it, you can do it over and over and over again. So you're saving that money, okay? And I apologize to all the folks out there for the last couple of podcasts. I've been saying you get yourself 10% off, but you actually get 15% off. Michael, is there any plugs that you want to do?
Yeah, you can go to my Facebook page. It's World Class Elvis on Facebook. Michael O'Connor Elvis. You can find me on the internet, pretty much all over the place. We're going to be launching the new website after 2 years it's been sitting. It's going to be finally launched probably by the end of this month. worldclasselvis.com. I really enjoy doing this. Thank you so much. I will tell you this, that I want to leave. I want to just say something about the, I don't know. You guys drink coffee?
Love coffee.
Yeah. Big coffee.
Okay. So I drink Chimera. Have you ever heard of it? It's actually, I do that. Bulletproof coffee. I've been doing a lot of nootropic coffees to try to keep myself, as you get older and stuff like that, your brain starts to, you get brain fog, stuff like that. So I try to keep myself as sharp as possible when it comes to like, thinking, just concentration, focus, a lot of things I need to, so I can keep everything going the way I have been, and just try to stay on top of things. So, I'm always trying new stuff out as far as coffee, especially. I don't know why, but
Okay.
actually there's this new one that just actually was told by the health food place that if you take it, it actually is a precursor to help with cancer.
Very good. Very
Stop you
good.
from getting it.
Well, folks, that's a shout out to coffee and please and the names there. that Michael
Chimera.
mentioned. Yes, Chimera. So appreciate you all listening. Michael, I'm very, very, very excited to air this. I think it's going to be great. And we are signing off. Rob, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Michael, farewell words. If you could say one last thing, what would it be?
Good night, Gracie. Just kidding. No.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Thanks, guys.
Wake up to reality, to reality, to reality.